Because you on Bernie. And I know that you think I'm gonna let you on Bernie and then come get me? I'm the next.
All since you on Bernie and I realize that you believe I'm let you on Bernie and afterward come get me. I'm the following Lord. It seems like Feline Williams is back, and the web is thrilled with acclaim for her savage salvos. The cajoling, sharp-tongued, savvy jokester seems to have taken a couple of punches from individual comic Steve Harvey, leaving him puzzled and speechless. What did the comic say did Steve Harvey genuinely merit being called names in light of the fact that the entire time Bernie was as here he was behaving like he was more clever than him, the explanation expected to go last is cuz, it was your visit come clean, it was just everybody realizes that managing Feline Williams is never smart. No one can match the carefully prepared entertainer and jokester's dangerously sharp tongue. An unmatched handle of words, the most unreasonable individual is generally the person who has dared to cross Feline Williams as the carefully prepared comic covers individuals under piles of unpredictable able wit from which they can never recuperate yet. That is not the very thing attracts individuals to him. One of Feline Williams' most noteworthy characteristics is that she generally comes out with the plain truth, regardless of who is tuning in. With a sprinkle of verbal hitting, he comes to a meaningful conclusion, powerfully leaving his casualty looking humiliated. By reports, Steve Harvey is the latest VIP to endure. Because of Feline Williams' explosion, unsubstantiated bits of gossip express that the carefully prepared comic and Harvey are at contrast over remarks Harvey made on Bernie Mac's passing, where Harvey was blamed for being a fraud who despised Bernie when he was as yet alive. Steve Harvey has been respecting Bernie Mac since his demise in 2008. He has frequently communicated his deference for Bernie, saying the comic was the most capable and funny comic he has at any point worked with. When the Bernie MC Amphitheater was introduced at his previous secondary school, Steve expressed the Chicagoan inheritance was unparalleled. He demanded that the 50-year-old was excellent while retaliating tears that took steps to spill down his cheeks. His eyes were clearly red, and it seemed like he was grieving the departure of a legend. He sporadically gagged during his assertions and looked for the assistance of Cedric the Performer and the past comic rulers D.L. Huey to give him comfort. Harvey told the late comic's family when he was all the while battling to gather himself, assigning November 14th as Bernie Mac Day. He welcomed Chicagoans to commend the day similarly as Mac does Thanksgiving anyway. Feline Williams guarantees that everything is phony and the television have is possibly performing for the cameras. He feels that when Bernie was as yet alive, he and Harvey had a spat. The veteran comic denied Steve Harvey's remarks about Bernie Mac during his Shia fragment, saying the game show have was desirous of Bernie achievement. He blamed Harvey for quibbling with Bernie over segments of motion pictures and programs that previously bore his name. He asked why, given the amount they professed to cherish Bernie, somebody would call television studios to play his job away. He made sense of how Steve Harvey had before demanded that the creators of C's 11 embrace huge Mac's teeth. Yet the studio had stood its own still. Steve shed the most tears during Bernie's memorial service. The entire troop of lords of satire gave proper respect to the late Bernie individually during the entombment. T. Harvey's was the most piercing. He waxed melodious about how, due to his more prominent funny bone, the late comic was generally the final venture on visit. Anybody who followed Bernie was ill-fated. He cautioned he would have separated the crowd and passed on you with nothing to say, contrasting the late comic with a train misfortune. He jested that he had harmed each stage that had been dispensed to him anyway. Feline dismissed those gestures of recognition, saying that Bernie was somebody he genuinely loathed, and that Steve Harvey was just representing the cameras. He asked why, after Bernie's demise, he sobbed like a crocodile subsequent to having reprimanded him while he was as yet alive. He chided Harvey for imagining he would have rather not been a celebrity, despite the fact that clearly no studio would consider employing him. He asserted that during when studios and creation organizations were searching for dynamic entertainers, Steve Harvey was not a sufficiently flexible entertainer for a similar explanation. This is a similar individual who abhorred Bernie Mac. Consistently 30,000 new screenplay passages are gotten by Hollywood. Not one of them requested an individual of color who seems to be Mr. Potato Head and is a Woodlands rebel who can't carry on a significant discussion. There isn't any reach is fundamental. It's fascinating to see that Harvey wasn't the one in particular who thought Feline was pompous and deceptive. DJ Ed Sweetheart, a long-term companion of Bernie Mac co-mark, Feline's remarks and professed to have been told by Bernie about the moderator of the television game show's abhorrence for Feline. It's additionally said that Bernie didn't stop there. It is said that he uncovered to Ed Darling Steve's deceitful activities all through the years. Bernard let me know. Out of his own mouth, the thing Feline Williams said about Steve Harvey calling to attempt to get Bernie's job on C's 11, and that sort of stuff, the notable DJ said in a meeting with his web recording. Come on, child. I concur with Bernie Mac when he says Steve Harvey abhorred him before Bernie MC at any point made that big appearance at the Shia Club. Steve Guileful said that he seriously didn't really like his. The TV half states that he lost the gathering's approval when the rulers of parody decided to zero in on their situations in TV and films. As opposed to stand-up satire, he expressed that he simply agreed to partake in silly occasions on the ends of the week and television programs during week, turning down a few film offers. He was extremely evident that he would have rather not been a celebrity, and that he would much prefer keep up with his standing as a professional comic anyway. Feline Williams uncovered Steve Harvey's lie by asserting that the yearning of each and every comic was to turn into an entertainer. He expressed that Steve didn't get film parts as a result of his absence of expertise. His skill was restricted to securing game shows and discussion shows on TV Vision. He coming up short ablaze and acting ability of Bernie and others. Thusly, studios rarely welcomed him. Long-lasting satire scene watchers seemed to concur with Feline Williams. They specified extra examples in which Harvey seemed to disdain Bernie Mac, such when he asserted that his resentment against the late MEC sprang from Mama's decision to seek after a vocation in film and TV. As opposed to visiting with him, they thought Harvey was acting incongruously when he freely pronounced his dislike for large Macintosh while destroying after he died. Most were stunned to hear that Harvey had called C's 11 makers to supplant enormous Macintosh. The straw that broke the camel's back for most allies was when E. Darling co-marked Feline's words and guaranteed Bernie had enlightened him regarding Steve's scorn of him. It was concluded that the declaration of two unique individuals was satisfactory proof of Steve's earnest expectations. Others agreed that it was ordinary for two people to be at chances that contention among Harvey and Bernie MC. Checked out. Certain fans addressed Feline Williams, saying he was making things up as he came and thought about what proof he had that Harvey had called studios to substitute Bernie Mac. These allies clarified that Harvey's genuine sentiments at large Macintosh's entombment represented his adoration for his kindred comic. They likewise recognized Steve Harvey's job in laying out a Bernie McDay and a hall in his honor. Harvey's fans accepted he was talking really. Katt asked Steve for what reason he was mimicking the lead character in Imprint Curry's program Hanging with Mr. Cooper, when he had expressed he would have rather not been a famous actor. While talking with Shannon Sharp for the club Shia, the veteran comic brought up every one of the similitudes between Steve Harvey's show and Imprint Curry's Hanging with Mr. Cooper feline cases, that Steve as of late shown up as the central in a satire he gives that he has the best cast of people of color in the business since he has a high top blur and wears a suit. It's likewise a man unit. For what reason aren't you a celebrity? You ask them. I would have rather not been a famous actor.